Mate, I'm telling you, I've nailed it, with that theme tune. I'm like, going.
You said to me before we started, I'll be tapping away. I'm like, maybe I'm used to it now.
I was just like this. I was just like on the thing, but it wouldn't come through. It wouldn't come through great on the microphone, would it? But hello and welcome again, everybody, viewers who are in with us now. Thanks very much for tuning in. World Cup Wednesday again for the third week running. We are going to be looking at Germany 2006 this week, mate. Yes, what do you think about that?
Very excited. What an unbelievable tournament. What I really like about these shows, Gary, is obviously we do the research before we start going over it again. You just forget how good these tournaments were, don't you? You really do forget about the goals, the players, the excitement, the energy. And it's, we're 98 days now away from the World Cup this summer. Yes, it's just a great time. And it was a great tournament.
You're dead on there as well, aren't you? And I think this is the whole point of us doing this World Cup Wednesday. And obviously when the World Cup's passed, we've got an idea for something else as well. But I always remember that line off Sopranos where he goes, remember when is the lowest form of conversation. But sometimes I just don't give a shit about it because it's class. It's so good looking back. At the games and you forget. The first thing, what are your first thoughts when you think about 06?
There's obviously the Rooney red card. The Zidane headbutt, goals, excitement. There's some great games. Just an exciting tournament. Obviously, I think you just hit the nail on the head. Is we get through these tournaments, and then we're just looking at the next one, right? If our teams didn't do very well, it's like, well, there's the Euros in 2 years' time or 4 years' time for the next World Cup. We never reflect and look back and just enjoy the level of football that we were treated to in 2006 of world-class superstar players on every team. We're looking at the team of the tournament. Every one of those players now, if they're around in today's game, would start for pretty much the majority of the top six sides of the Premier League.
I know, we'll get to it, won't we, as well, some of the games and some of the teams. But I can't wait to talk about the Portugal team because some of those players were frightening.
And Ronnie was still fairly young in those days as well. Ronaldo was still a kind of a kid.
You've got other players we were talking before about Nuno Gomez and players like that, just frightening ability and just Maniche, mate. What a player.
Just rolls off the tongue.
But for me, I like the fact that this is not, and I know it's two English guys talking about this, but it's not an English-centric episode at all. Because England, for me, England weren't all at the races in this one, which is kind of a good thing because there was so many more other things going on. The big one that hits me first, and this is me being an absolute geek, is the ball. Because this is the first time the ball was the Teamgeist ball was
well pronounced.
It was good, that wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was good first time.
Yeah. Danke. That's my German there. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bitter, etc. And it was the fused ball, wasn't it? It wasn't stitched. And I remember lads over here. I think I'd been here about 2 or 3 years by that point, and people would break, because obviously some of the places we worked in were quite affluent, so the kids had the balls, even though they were 150. And I remember you trying to hit them with that little. Hit them on the valve, so the
little knuckleball on it.
Murder. I mean, obviously, everyone talks about the 2010 ball, which I'm sure when we get to it, that'll be the first thing we talk about. But that was one of the first things for me. And then I looked up again, going back into it. This was a record number of cards in the whole tournament, and it was the number reads 345 yellow cards and 28 reds. I mean, there was a big obvious one when you think about this tournament. But at the same time, that many in this short space of time is.
We should have looked if there's any changes with refs, if they were told to do certain things or punish certain things. Because I remember 2002 was the first one where they started punishing people in the penalty areas from corners for pulling, and I think there was a record number of penalties in the previous World Cup for things that weren't normally a penalty. Refs were, because they wanted to get rid of the argy-bargy in the penalty areas and that kind of sort of things. But some of the red cards in 06, they were red cards. There's not much you could do about headbutts and stamps and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? There were some pretty obvious ones, but and we'll talk about the Battle of Nuremberg. We'll get to it. 4 red cards, but every single one of them was a second yellow. But again, it set the tone. I think another thing about it was, and won't we, when we start talking about the kits and the fan experience and the culture behind it. But it just seemed like a fun World Cup. Like Germany, it was over 12 cities. The final was in Berlin, but Germany's a big country, and there was a lot of people went, didn't they? Whether you had tickets or not.
Germany's a great place to go. You obviously got the old East and the West. Each city is pretty much completely different from the next one, whether you're going to Munich or Berlin, so forth. But it's every place you would have gone to watch the games, you would have had a different experience. And I think we talked about the USA this summer and Canada and Mexico. That's what you want from a World Cup. You don't want to go, we talked about Qatar last week, you don't want to go from one ground to the next and have the same kind of no frills experience kind of thing. You want to be, okay, what does this city have to offer? Am I going to go there for a day or two, or am I going to go and spend the week there and really embrace it and get involved in it? So listen, I always love it when the World Cup's in Europe. Not being biased or anything. I just think there's a cooler experience amongst the fans and everything. And trying to think, prior to 2006, when was the last time it was in Germany? Was it 70?
Well, no, because Mexico was 70.
Mexico was 70, sorry. Well, 74, yeah. So,
yeah.
Perfect opportunity to have them and everything. And Germany host nations were one of the favourites pre-tournament as well.
Yeah, I know. And the first game was a cracker as well, wasn't it, for a time? But here's another one for you, Stato, because I looked into it. 28% of the fans who went to the tournament travelled over 100 kilometres to attend events. Beautiful. So they didn't stay in the same place. They went from one place to another place, and whether that's following their team or following another team. And I agree with you. Like, I don't want it. That's not what the point of this whole thing is. Like, I really want this year's World Cup to be a similar sort of thing.
Right.
The country's massive. There's going to be people here. Hopefully things might have calmed down on a global climate by that point, hopefully. But it's just a fan fest. It's like the fact that they closed down the fan fest in Jersey City in favour of smaller events is a bit of a sickener. I don't know if you've heard about this one, but
you were telling me about that one, yeah.
Yeah, but they were charging people to get in as well, so it's not the end of the world. But still, right. It is part of the fan experience, and I think that's what makes things tick over. But we have, as per usual, if you've got a comment or you just want to say hi or thanks for popping on. If you want to stick something in the comments, we're happy to jump on board with that. If you've got a memory yourself about actually going to a game or, remember a game in particular, by all means, jump in the comments. We'd love to hear from everybody. And if you can or haven't already, make sure you do those follows and those likes and those subscribes at EPL Across the Pond. You've got us on Facebook, you've got us on YouTube, and you've got us on the Instagram.
So let me ask this before we really get going. Where did you watch the tournament? Were you in Jersey or were you back in Blighty? Where were you for this one?
I was here. I remember, You know what's funny? I remember, was it a wedding for a friend who I'd met over here, and I was at a wedding on the Friday, and England played Ecuador on the Saturday, and I remember watching the game when Beckham just in absolute mangled, and it was painful. I mean, the England's games were painful enough during that tournament. Right. I felt like every single one of them was a struggle. But this one was just a particular struggle because I had like a grade 17 hangover. So I honestly would have been one of my top 5 hangovers. And everyone knows, everyone's got them, but that was one of my top 5, yeah. Top 5. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Just get past it as fast as we can. All right, so the first question before we get into the kits and the fandom and everything else was, who scored the first goal of the 2006 tournament? Ooh. Now, there's obviously a clue in there because the hosts play in the first game, but I don't think it's as obvious as maybe some people would think.
Right.
So the question is, who scored the first goal of the 2006 tournament? And there's some notable performances in that first game as well. So again, fire it in the comments if you know, or if you think you know what it is.
Just writing some notes. I'm thinking of, I remember the game. I remember the score-ish. All right, I'm going to go with that one.
All right, fair enough. So I love this bit because, again, footy nerd. Ironically, the 2 shirts I've got on the wall today are both number 10s, and they both had significant things happen to them in this tournament. So you got Michael Owen on one side and Zidane on the other, and they both, we both know what happened to Zidane, but Michael Owen got injured in this game and basically got forced onto everything else. But here's the kits from the tournament, and I got this from a website. It was like
Wasn't
kit
90
ranked.
minutes. Wasn't
No,
90 minutes.
it definitely wasn't 90 minutes. No, but this is the kit. These are the
You
kits.
know.
Yeah, exactly. So, right, this was it's dead funny this because I
Did you
don't
put
know
these
anyone.
you put these in your order? Are they
This-
ranked in any kind of way, do you reckon?
These were ranked on a separate website, and I'd have to find the name of the website. I don't want to stitch myself up here, but it's just, I find it funny that I don't know if anyone's an avid follower of kits like I am, but Adidas have recently brought out in the past, I'd say the past year to 6 months, they've kind of redeveloped or rebadged or whatever it is,
Right.
this style.
The wave,
like the wave kit. So if you look at the top 4 out of the top 5, you've got, what have you got in there? You've got France, obviously. You've got both Argentina kits.
Italy.
Like you go on Adidas now, and that middle kit in the top, the blue one, with 19 Messi on it, because that was Messi's first tournament.
Right.
That is like, I think I don't even know. It's like $120 now. It's ridiculous. It's a nice kit.
It's a nice kit, yeah.
But
it's a nice kit. Is that one of the, probably around that era where the manufacturers started putting their emblem in the middle of the shirts? I know we've had badges in the middle of the shirts. There's a couple of kits here where the badges are at the side of it, and the sports logo, whether it's Adidas or Puma or who else you got there doing it?
I think the
bang in the middle.
The
Nike's at the side.
Nike at the side, and then Umbros at the side. They were always pretty consistent. But yeah, your Lotto ones, your Puma ones with some of the African teams.
So what's your favorite, guys? What are you saying? What would be your favorite out of the lot?
Right, I like the top ones. Like I love that France shirt. Obviously, that's why I bought the Zidane one. But Holland's kits in this one were excellent. Like Holland's kit, if you look stripes, third row down, fourth one in, the one that looks like kind of like the one off Escape to Victory with the seat belt. But the Escape to Victory was straight lines, but this is a bit more like I like those ones. I like the home kit, which is further down the pecking order, so I might have to have a chat with the lad on this website.
Right.
And I don't, you know what? I love a Japan kit as well.
That's on the right hand side, right? I was literally just looking at that one with almost like the waves.
Yeah, the white one with the waves on it, and then the home Japan kit is on the second row, and it's the fourth one across underneath the Argentina top.
Right.
But I could look at these things for days. You know what I mean? Like all day.
Spain, good shout for the Spain. England had a not bad shirt there with a little St. George's on the shoulder, a little bit tasty.
That might have been the last one. Like I've got it up behind me. That might have been the last one that I actually paid for. But yeah, if you've got a favourite, whack it in the comments. I've got one here now. I wonder if anyone's got.
You've been stealing them then, or?
Not at all. No, I just
borrowing them from shop.
I think it's called acquiring, Chris. Acquiring. But yeah, no, I definitely. What would yours be? What's your favourite?
That I can't get over that France away one just because it's a little bit cooler and stuff. I like the USA white one with the stripe going down and stuff. Croatia away is pretty tasty. There's a lot of good kits on there. Is that Ukraine with the yellow and the blue bits on it?
I like where's it, the yellow and the blue? This one,
second row, far right side.
Yeah,
next to Sweden.
That's Ukraine. Yeah, that's Ukraine.
Sweden's not bad. It's kind of a replica of ours, but different colours.
Yeah, I'm not a massive hater of the blue US one as well, which is the fourth one down.
You always do this thing, and there's a thing that people do a lot now. Go, who's the first player when you see that shirt? And I think now when you see that France shirt, you think of Zidane. When you see that Argentina shirt, you think of Messi. Probably when you think the England shirt, you probably think of either Rooney or Beckham. So yeah, it takes you back. You know, we talked about this the other week. Is when you look at these shirts, even when there's no players in them, you just look at the kits. It takes you back to that time. Yeah, it just gives you the little goosebumps, the little nostalgia.
Even just see it. Like again, I have quite a decent collection of footy shirts from one place or another. But it really does just it gives you that little bit of you do. You remember, don't you? It's like. You know, like when you get a whiff of something, or you hear a song on the telly, or you hear a song on the radio,
right?
Or like a whiff of perfume, or like a whiff of something. Like when you go to footy and you get a whiff of Bovril, and you're like, "Oh God!" It's like being back in the mid '90s or the late '80s.
The Balti pies get me.
It just sends you back, and like when you see these kids, it just sends you back. But yeah, no, I love all that, and it's an interesting one. But as far as the fan experience, we talked a little bit about the games and the atmosphere. I think this also was the tournament that it was the first time that they really, really got fan zones going. Because you remember in 2000 when it was in Belgium and France, I believe, the Euros, and there was absolute murder. You think about the water cannons firing at all the English fans. This time they tried to make it a much more inclusive tournament, and they got everybody in. It wasn't, they were letting people in who didn't have tickets. It was, into these fan zones. And there was, again, Stato, there was 21% of people who were interviewed had gone to Germany without tickets. They just wanted to go to experience it. And I think, honestly, I don't know, you disagree. Like, if it was now, it was like when the Euros were in France a couple of years ago. I think a lot of people just went to be around it and enjoy it. Like, I know a lot of Welsh lads. Obviously, Wales went on that crazy run, didn't he? Was it 2016? Was it 2016?
16, I think, yeah. Because 18 was Russia. So
lads just went to enjoy it. And I think it was the first time there was like official fan zones.
Right.
Yeah, it really started a trend, didn't it?
I think about that point you just made is like, the one thing they probably did in the cities, they removed all the chairs and the tables and all the stuff that's normally laying around and stuff. They probably just policed it better. They probably just, opened certain areas at certain times and worked with the local establishments to make sure, what time you start serving beer and what time you start doing this and that. And just made it a more enjoyable experience and stuff. And you're right. There was, some of the scenes from France 98 and 2002 and 2000 and whatnot. It's just people still look at the back of those tournaments for that side of things. And there wasn't any trouble, which was a good thing. There's always trouble at World Cups. Let's not beat around the bush, but it wasn't as highlighted as we'd seen in previous years.
Yeah, I think they were a lot more proactive about it instead of just reacting. And 90% of the time, the reaction is get the baton out or get the water cannons out. Yeah. Right. So I think they were a little bit more proactive. Like you said, they probably put everything away that could be used as a projectile.
Right.
Like a chair
screens,
or a table.
If you have a square and you put a big screen in that certain square, you're obviously directing traffic to a certain part of the town, right? As opposed to if there's, you've got to go into a bar or a pub or a restaurant to watch on a little TV, you're kind of limited where you can go. But if it's controlled, here's where we want people to go. We can police that area very well, and we can control who comes in and out of that specific area. So it's going to be a lot more better organized. So I'm sorry about the Jersey experience is not happening for you. Summer.
I will say the one positive about not having a fan zone, and every time you see it on the telly, I'm just like, I'm glad I'm not there.
Right.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
For the beer that just goes flying in the air.
Oh, my God. First of all, I mean, I don't have to worry about my head getting rumour here, but at the same time, just what a waste. Like, and why'd you have to throw ale up in the air? It does my head in.
Is it ale, though? That's just,
that's another thing as well. If you're crammed into a box park, God knows what's going up in the air.
Yeah.
It's no short journey to those toilets, is it?
We've all been to concerts. We've all done that.
I was worried about that at Oasis this year, but it never happened. All right, we're going to go through the next questions. The answer to the first question was, who scored the first goal of 2006? Now we have our guy Jay in the comments. Straight up. He goes, I must give the game away. I've got to stop being I've got to be more brutal.
Right.
I've got to be more like,
I thought Closer got the first one, but no, he didn't.
It was a cracking goal list
as
well.
About top bins, right? He's
cut in.
Yeah.
And if you were watching closely when we had the kits up, they actually had Lamb's kit on. If you notice.
There you go.
I know, killer. There he is at the top, number 21. Absolute murder.
The new ball with the old Adidas balls, would they have done that bend? Probably not.
Great question.
The old airflow effect.
We'll never know, will we? We'll never know.
No,
all right.
No.
Next question. Might be a little bit easy, this one. Might be a bit easy one. Before we go into the next thing, good to talk about memorable games. All right. Who was the top goal scorer in the World Cup of 2006?
That one's easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, pen's gone down already?
I'm not even writing it down. Final answer, lock it in.
Fair enough. Don't even need to phone a friend. All right. So we'll talk about memorable games.
I'll go for that game we just mentioned. The first game of the tournament. Was it Costa Rica versus Germany?
It was, yeah.
The old Paolo One Chope. Was he at Derby at that time, or he moved on from Derby?
He could have been anywhere, couldn't he? At that point, he's played for everybody at that point.
Played for everybody at that point. But what a game! No one's expecting anything from Costa Rica, and it was. I mean, you probably know this just how the goals went in, but it was, from what I can remember, it was end to end, loads of goals, loads of excitement. And again, Germany were the hosts. They were probably along with Brazil, pre-tournament favorites. And it's always difficult when you host a tournament because you've got to potentially win it, but you've also got to lay a benchmark. And opening games, we saw them in Italia 90 when Argentina slipped up in the opening game, their opening game. There's pressure for the opening teams that have come out. You've got all your fans on you. If players aren't used to playing at that level of experience, it's a daunting stage. And I just thought it was a cracking game to start a World Cup and really set the tone, because then you're probably the same as me. It's, you look at it, you then pull out your calendar. What's next? What's the next game to look at? And then we just start geeking out over these things because we just get excited about the games and the minnows, and we're going to watch that game. Well, let's give it a go, and it's a belter. And what a game to start the tournament.
Yeah, again, you know what though, Germany. Whenever the World Cups are in Europe, it's brilliant because it runs on like a 9 o'clock, 11:30, 2 o'clock schedule. So when the group stages are on, you can bang out all the games during the course of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first game was a cracker, and it wasn't as clear cut. It wasn't like Germany went 4 up. It was, I think it was like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, and then Germany got a goal right at the end. Like, it's funny, the group stages were pretty clear cut. There wasn't any massive upsets. I mean, the biggest upset for me in the group stages was the fact that France didn't win the group, which put them in an absolute dog of a knockout draw.
Right.
But at the same time,
some teams take time to get going, don't they? Because, you know, now, a little bit back then as well, is a lot of the superstars have a 50-odd plus game season. They don't get a break. They go straight to the squads, and they go straight to the tournaments. And some of the superstars you don't normally see in a World Cup because they're kind of fried and burnt out. And maybe that was the case with France. You know, a lot of English-based players in that squad would have come off big seasons, and expectation levels are higher than ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, my next one was, this was a bit obvious, this one. I had Portugal, Netherlands. It was quarter-final game.
Yeah, that was a tasty one. Again, Netherlands.
No lies, this was a round of 16 game.
Netherlands were, again, one of the favourites for the tournament, as they are most tournaments. They just never usually live up to their expectations and whatnot. And Portugal had a real eclectic side, from young players in Ronaldo, who's, what would he been back then? I don't know, young, to experienced players that had been there, done that, bought the T-shirt kind of thing. So they had a real heavy squad of mixed of players. Again, if that game's on, you're watching it, aren't you? Let's be honest.
I mean, that was the game, we talked about it before. It was the Battle of Nuremberg. 16 yellow cards.
Yep.
4 red cards. I think the first booking was in the second minute. Khalid Boularus absolutely walloped someone in a challenge in the first. I'm just trying to pull it up now.
The ref's got a yellow out, thinking, if I give a yellow now, it's going to calm things down a bit and things will slow down, right? Get that early yellow in a game, and people will start behaving a little bit.
Well, it was almost to the point where it was like they had to let it go. Do you know what I mean? Because the refs lost control, Annie, straight away, because he's given the 1 yellow card and everyone's going after each other. So he's got to give the next yellow card.
And you know what? We probably not mentioned this before, but we see it a lot in tournaments, right? Because they have to have an equal amount of refs from certain different countries and continents and whatnot. And a lot of these refs, they're just not used to, and they're not qualified and equipped for these big games. We see it every World Cup tournament. I'm not going to pick on nations or nationalities of referees and stuff, but they get these games and they're not used to the fast-paced level of, you know, top-level football. And you can see that they're scrambling from the get-go. They've got the jobs because, you know, they've got to hit equal quotas and all that kind of side of things. And sometimes it's just, if it's a team from, you know, 2 European nations like that, be smart. Just go and get a ref from the Premier League or from Italy or from Germany who's equipped for dealing with those kind of superstars, who's equipped for dealing with those kind of games, and he knows how to ref it, as opposed to, well, let's go and get someone from over here because, you know, we have to have a quota and tick a box and everything. And
the guy was Russian, you know. He's
lost the case. Yeah, but I'm still not buying that.
I don't think, like, tough-nosed Russian. Listen to this team. All right. Ricardo in goal. This is Portugal, obviously. Right. Ricardo in goal. Fernando Miera, Miguel, Nuno Valente, Ricardo Carvalho, who, by the way, had number 16 on. So you would imagine Carvalho would have a 5 or something. Then in midfield, Costinha, Maniche, Deco. Then your front 3, Figo, Paletta, Cristiano Ronaldo. And then on the bench, they had Simao, Nuno Gomez. Oh, ridiculous team. Ridiculous team.
Rui Costa was done by then, right?
Rui Costa was done by then, yeah, a little bit.
So here's the thing, Gary. And Holland's probably going to be exactly the same. Pretty much safe to say that
ridiculous, yeah.
Any one of those players would start for a top-level Premier League side today. Any one of them.
I genuinely think that this, like, it's funny if you asked people. I know this isn't a club show. It's more of a country show. But if you were to ask players, like if you were to look at these teams and go, would you take those players today? I wonder how many people would say yes, because I wonder how many people know these players.
Right.
Because these were like a lot of these players. It's funny. This is about the time that Chelsea got a little bit of money, wasn't it? So a lot of these players did come to the Premier League at that point.
Deco and
like Deco came. Boularoos was at Chelsea at some point, right? Van der Sar, Van Persie, Sneijder.
Take those two teams and add up their combined domestic trophy haul. It would be insane.
Oh,
it would be insane.
It would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's just, and of all the people, like it only finished 1-0. It was just an absolute bloodbath.
Go for the Holland team. Go for the Netherlands team.
All right, the Holland team is this: Van der Sar in goal, Boularoos, Matheson, Van Bronckhorst, Andre Uya, Philip Cocu, Van Bommel, Sneijder, Dirk Kuyt, Ian Robben Van Persie. And then they brought on Van der Vaart and Venegora Hesselink, but they had Van Nistelrooy on the bench.
I think he was doing it. That's about the time he's come back from his knee, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been injured, yeah. And Johnny Heitiger came off the bench as well, yeah. But unbelievable.
Right.
And Marco van Basten was the manager as well, just to top that one off.
To put a name out there.
But yeah, massive game, massive teams, proper players. Like even the next game I had picked out was Italy-Germany semis. Now Italy went through this tournament, and I think this is an important stat. Italy went through this tournament, conceded 2 goals. And the 2 goals they conceded, they conceded one against the US of all teams. They tied 1-1 with the US, and it was an own goal.
Right.
And then they conceded a penalty in the final.
So an own goal and a penalty, the only 2 goals you've scored in the tournament.
Yeah.
You're winning it, aren't you? At that point, you're winning it.
That's the thing in it. And we talk about like the Italian team. When we get to the final, we'll talk about the Italian team. But Germany were obviously they're the home nation.
Yeah.
And they were an attacking force during the whole time. Like they were scoring goals in that tournament. And not only did they stop them, it went to extra time. I just remember it was a cracker, wasn't it? It was a cracking game to watch because there wasn't a lot of goals, but the intensity of it was really, really good. And I just remember it being glued to the telly. And then they scored one, and I think they scored in the break at the end. Is that right?
Yeah, not going to be a spoiler alert, but you could tell that team, it started about 2 years prior, and it was basically a team that just kept going and getting better and better. And obviously they won it in 2010. But that was kind of the start of that, that team coming through. They had the same coach. They had a good young group of players that were all coming through together. And you knew that sooner or later they were going to win a tournament. And obviously they won it 4 years later, quite convincingly. But a lot of people thought they're going to win that tournament because it's in Germany. They just weren't quite ready for it yet. But the Germany-Italy game, that could have gone either way. And, like I say,
it was 2 goals in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, and the majority of play, if you watch the highlights, Germany hit the post a few times. I think they hit the crossbar, and it was Buffon's made some world-class saves and stuff. And I think both goals are on the break, if I'm not mistaken, kind of against the run of play. So, but that's football. That's just why we love it.
No, it really is. It really is. So before we get to the final, because we can talk about that. Is there any others you've got?
The final stood out for me. Obviously, the Rooney sending off and the Ronaldo wink. Again, when you talk about highlights of tournaments and stuff, that's always a playback moment and stuff. And coincidentally, Ronaldo scores the winning penalty in the penalty shootout to send England out after Carragher, your boy,
I can't
Flunked his
believe,
lines.
I'm looking at this now, right? Think of that team. Think of that
Right.
whole England team. And I don't want to go on England all the time because this is the last thing I really want to talk about. Anyway, but there was 4 penalty takers for England. If you can name all 4, that would be proper impressive. Only
Beckham?
one. No.
He didn't take one.
No.
Gerrard?
Yeah, missed.
Wasn't the Vassell one? That was 2008 was Vassell, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
I don't think I can remember now. Give me a sec. Lampard?
Yeah, missed.
Okay.
You said Carragher. There's one
Carragher.
player that scored. There's one player that scored. They lost 3-1 on penalties. One player that scored.
Wasn't like Matty Upson or something like that, was it?
No. It was one of those randoms. It was Owen Hargreaves.
Owen Hargreaves. He could take a mean penalty.
And he was very good, but like never really saw him much after this, did you? He was so injury prone. But and I didn't, you know what, in my head, the longest time, I always think that game was 2-2. But it wasn't, was it?
No.
It was 0-0.
Why do you think it was 2-2? Wasn't the Euros game 2-2?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking, or 3-2. But I honestly, like, I always thought it was a higher scoring game because Portugal did us in 2 tournaments in a row, didn't they?
Right. I remember the what was the tournament? The Euros where Greece won.
That was 04, yeah. They did us in, but yeah, they did England in 2 tournaments. But yeah, shocking. Why'd you put? I'm not being like, I love Jamie Carragher, but why the hell are you putting him on penalties?
I mean, he's got that guy. He's that confidence kind of. I'll take it. You know.
Yeah.
But penalties are penalties. You know, you never know. But that's when you want your big boys to step up and take it. Obviously, you know, Owen was injured. Rooney's in the shower.
Yeah, true.
Who else is there in that team? And to be honest, you know, England, harping about England in that tournament, that to me was kind of the golden generation had gone. You know, we've gone past that kind of thing. And they're almost looking for the new generation, weren't they? You had Paul Robertson in goal. You had some.
See, I'd argue this, you know. I'd argue this.
Players.
Because look at this England team. I'd argue 2010 was when the golden age just fell on its ass. But look at this. I'm going to do this now.
Go on,
I said we weren't going to talk about England.
Do it.
Now we're talking about England. All right.
Be quick.
Okay, I'll try my best. Hang on. Line up. England's team. Listen to this. Right.
I'll say yes or no. Go on.
Robinson in goal at the time.
He had a good season or 2, yeah. There's no one else. No one else.
This is the team. Neville.
Yeah.
Right. Cole. Right. Left back. Ferdinand.
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah.
Gerrard.
Yeah.
Lampard.
Yeah.
Beckham.
Yeah.
Joe Cole.
Yeah.
Owen Hargreaves.
Yeah.
Rooney.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's not one of the, like, on paper, one of the best England teams. And on the bench, they literally brought Carragher on to take a penalty as well. Tragic. And then Crouch came off the bench. Oh, that was the one where he took Theo Walcott as a gift.
Right.
But like that, I think that was the time for England. Like, I think 2002 and 2006 were the ones where England should have done more. But again, I'm not here to talk about England. I want to talk about the
moving on. They're out. Red card, wink.
Germany got beaten in the semis. They beat Portugal 3-1, ended up getting a medal, came third. And then the final. Oh, before we get to the final, though.
Questions.
Couple of questions. You know what? I'm going to go a couple of questions here. Question was,
quick fire.
Jay didn't kick in, so he must know.
That one's easy. Miroslav.
5 goals, though, is not a lot for me.
Well, and the rest were, I think, second place. There was about 8 people who had 3. Yeah.
Well, Zidane, I think, scored 3 pens.
Ronaldo. Just looking at a second ago, actually, we got the 3. Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. Well, anyway, listen, this is the last question. This is the last question of the day before we get to the final. All right. We talked about it a little bit before. Italy's defense.
Yeah.
Fabio Cannavaro, not just off the back of the World Cup, but I think that year was his year. He won the Ballon d'Or in 2006, and he's only one of 3 defenders to ever win it since it came out. I think it was 60s, right? So name the other 2 defenders to have won the Ballon d'Or in its history. Good luck. 60 or 70 years worth of footballers to go for. 3 defenders.
No clues. No clues.
No clues whatsoever. No. Because people will get them. And I don't want that. It was a gift.
I want you all to fail. I want you all to fail.
Really, really struggle with this, like I did. But yeah,
I think I'll probably get one of them, but I'm not too sure about the other one.
I'll put it up again just in case, right? I'll put it up again. Cannavaro, one of 3 defenders to ever win the Ballon d'Or. Name the other 2. 70-year history, 60-year history. All right. Anyway,
wasn't Jamie Carragher, that's for sure.
It definitely wasn't Jamie Carragher. No. All right. So the final, it's in Berlin.
Yeah.
You got the blue running track, which I love as well. All right. And you've got arguably the best player, one of the best players ever, I think, Zidane.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player. And game starts. France get a pen in the first half. Or in the first 10 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
Did you see the pen?
It was a cheeky one.
They didn't have goal line technology, but
No.
it's very close, you know. Like
it's one of those that could go either way.
And it's the first time. Is it the first time you've seen? Obviously, the Panenka or the Dink or whatever they call it now. Obviously, came about in the Euros in like 1974. The Czechoslovakian guy didn't he?
Yeah.
But it's the first time I've seen it on that occasion myself.
Yeah. When Pirlo did against Joe Hart, that was after that, right?
Yeah, that was 2012, I think. Yeah, right. But he's dinked it and he's hit the bar and it's bounced down on the line. And
it's crazy. I mean, you look back on that. I mean, after that, the tournament after that was Lampard's, where Lampard hit it against Germany and that bounced even further over the line and they missed that. But I guess with the penalty, you know, the lineo's looking at the line and, you know, they're all focused on in that area. But there's no VAR, there's no goal line technology, there's no replays. It's a split decision for the speed that went in. And imagine that's not a bad shout, actually.
It's not a bad guess. It's not a bad guess. Well,
we're just quite right.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not right. That's my Northern Irish accent. But yeah, no, it was very close and it was very cheeky. But that was the level he was playing at the time. Yeah. Like he's in that Madrid team. He's older, on the older end of his career. But still, like it was like his swan song. He knows, and anyone who knows it, you know, you watch the old films about Zidane, and that's what he was. He was just this. He had such a swagger. Loved him.
He was such a level above everybody else. You know, I think Beckham said it once at Madrid. You could hit a ball to anywhere for Zidane, and he'd just bring it down. Didn't matter what speed, what height, what kind of ball it was put at him. He'd just stop it in his tracks. And you know, football's a nostalgia thing, but it's you look back on that tournament was geared up to be Zidane's swan song. It was geared up to be his kind of like almost encore to world football. You know, he was going to come out, he was going to majestically move around a football field, he can do some great passes, score a couple of goals, lift the trophy, and he'd sail off into the sunset.
Yeah, well, you remember the gold Preds?
That's how it started.
He had the gold Preds for the final, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was like I say, everything was ready for him to be get the trophy and just sail off into the sunset and be a 2-time World Cup winner, Ballon d'Or superstar, the greatest of his generation. And it started off that way, right? I'm sure they'd already started typing the newspaper scripts and they started getting everything ready. And fans thought, how do Italy get back from this?
And I didn't realize, and you reminded me of this before we came on air then. Excuse me. I didn't realize that Materazzi scored Italy's goal.
That was a great goal.
Yeah, the header off corner. Pirlo's whipped the corner and he's headed it in.
Pirlo's his little slipper whip corners.
And obviously,
you know, that's the other thing. If you watch the replay of the equaliser, that might be brought up for a foul these days because he's put his hands on the shoulders. I think it's Vieira, and he's just leaped another foot above him and he's just bullet headed. But back then, that was, you know, motion of play, coming in, attacking the ball. It was okay back then. But now he's put his hands on. He's gone for a ride.
Yeah, it was, and it's again the digging, and like anyway, I'm hoping people who watch it go back and have a look at what these games are like, because Italy had a goal disallowed. Christian Vieri, I think, had a header disallowed. France could have had a penalty in the second half. It goes to extra time, and this is another thing that I forget because you just snapshots of everything. But Zidane's headbutt on Materazzi that got him sent off was near the end of the game, wasn't it, in extra time?
Yep. It was right near the end of the game. Nobody saw it on the pitch. That was one. They had the big jumbotron on the stadium. Yeah, it was the officials that watched the replay on the jumbotron that got him sent off. Nobody actually saw the actual offense take place. And that was one of the first tournaments where they've got the big TVs in the ground. Now it's all common. Every stadium has the big TVs and the fans can watch the replays on the screens. That was one of the first tournaments, had the big screen where fans could literally see what happens. And they were showing the replay of that happen in slow-mo, and the ref didn't have a choice. But the ref never saw it live.
I want to know what rat is on that camera. this is the question, right? If the cameraman or the person who's working the production, who's monitoring the big screen,
right,
doesn't show it in that amount of time, does it even happen? And does he get sent off?
No, doesn't get sent off. Then he's going to take a penalty, right?
And then he takes a pen. And or does he do what Zidane does and just whip in a free kick with a minute left, right, and they win the World Cup? But it was unbelievable, wasn't it? And I was like, no, you can't send him off. No one's, because I remember being at the screen going, well, the ref hasn't seen it, so how can you send him off? I mean, nowadays it's like, well, obviously, but
it's gone. And there's that haunting image of Zidane walking past the trophy whilst the game's still going on with his head bowed, and socks almost scrunched down, and saying the trophy's there, and he's walking past it, and it's just one of those images of world football that will just live with people forever.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, isn't it? Because it was such a good tournament.
Yeah.
And
you don't want things to end like that, do you? You don't want it to end like that.
Like for
me, or
I think he's one of the best players there has been, and will be. But to end it, to sort of go out or that be remembered for that is bonkers.
And then it goes to penalties, and penalties it could go either way. And I think France hit the crossbar for their miss, where the keeper was well and truly beaten. And then an unknown name steps up and smashes the winner, and it's over.
Yeah, the penalties were 5-3.
Right.
Italy scored every single one of their penalties. Could you tell me the name of the person that missed?
For France?
I
watched it yesterday as well.
Think about the team that was playing in this game. This is another thing. I could read you the team out now. Go on.
Read the team out. I'll see if I can remember who it was. I watched this yesterday.
All right, this is the Italy team. Oh, it's so good. So good. All right. Buffon, Grosso, Cannavaro, Zambrotta, Materazzi, Gattuso, Totti, Camoranesi, who Camoranesi came off, Del Piero came on for him, right? Totti came off, Daniele De Rossi came on for him. Simone Perotta, Andrea Pirlo, Luca Toni was up front. He's the one that had the goal disallowed. And Filippo Inzaghi was on the bench and didn't even get on. All right, for France, Barthez, Abidal, Gallas, Thuram, Willy Sagnol, Patrick Vieira. His sub was Alou Diarra, who went to Real Madrid. Makelele, Florent Malouda, Zidane, Franck Ribéry, Trezeguet came on for him. And Thierry Henry and Sylvain Wiltord came on for him.
Was it Trezeguet who missed?
Trezeguet at the bar, yeah. Unbelievable.
And you talk about
unbelievable teams.
Imagine any of those players in today's game, what their values would be.
Well, what would you pay? Well, that's it, isn't it? Like, what would you pay to watch that now, that game with those players? I mean, you can imagine them at a Legends game still just, I mean, they wouldn't move. It'd be like watching a foosball game. They wouldn't really move, but then they'd do something.
There was one the other day I was watching. It was Henry, Frank Ribéry in a Legends game, and Mr. Beast of all people.
Of course.
But just to watch these players play, and just the one thing you don't lose. I mean, obviously we're old and past it now, but the touch is the last thing most players lose. Your legs go a little bit, you can't get the power in the shots, but then your touch always stays with you. But yeah, just those players in today's market. Henry today, imagine what Henry would be worth in the Premier League market.
Oh, frightening.
All stuff. It'd be 300-400 million.
That might be a topic that we talk about tomorrow on the EPL preview show, mate. Given that there's not much going on this weekend, but that's it. Yeah, listen. Before we go though, I know Jay's only waiting for this answer. All right. So the question was before we came in, Cannavaro's only one of 3 defenders to ever win the Ballon d'Or. Name the other 2. And Jay, to be fair to him, bless him, he had a good guess. He went Baresi and Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
The answer, Christopher.
Yes. And
when you look at it, you're like, it's the interesting thing about this. It was all 6s. It was 2006, 1996, and 1976. So it was Cannavaro, Matthias Sammer, Franz Beckenbauer. I thought that was a good question.
He ruined my summer, Matthias Sammer did.
What did he do? Did he put a towel on your sunbed?
No, you're a 96.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, what's he said that? See, I stumped him. Tough question.
What is it?
It's all right, Jay.
That's why he's a quizmaster. That's why he's a quizmaster, Gary.
Life's not a Disney movie, Chris. You can't just give people the answers. It's not happening like that.
Completely agree.
It's really not happening like that. But yeah, listen, thanks again for tuning in this week. Hopefully it's a little bit of a flashback for you. World Cup 2006. I think we agree it was a cracker, but every time we look back at these World Cup shows, it was an absolute cracker. If you have any other comments, he's here now, and that's what we want. I just make it more difficult for him every single time. If you do have any more comments, or if you have anything else, please like and subscribe us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at EPL Across the Pond. This has been World Cup Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow for the EPL preview, when we'll look at what's happened over the week, and then we'll look forward to the week ahead and the coming weeks ahead. So thanks very much. Appreciate it. Chris, anything to say before we go?
No, I think what we could be doing as well is we should get photographs of us during those years, just to see how bad we've aged and all that kind of good stuff. Because did you have hair in 2006, or had it gone by then?
I mean, you could call it hair. It was more like some sort of like Action Man kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or like a broken doll when like some of the hair's been pulled out and it's like thingies there. Bits.
So we'll do that, guys. If you've got any photos of you guys during tournaments and events, tag us EPL Across the Pond in your posts, and we'd love to share and take a look at your journeys of these tournaments as we go through them as well.
Yeah, perfect. That'll be great. All right, guys, listen. In the meantime, have a great week. If we don't see you tomorrow, we'll see you next Wednesday for another edition of World Cup Wednesday. All the best. Have a good night.